So, as you can see, this morning it's a bit of a winter wonderland, and I'm definitely getting a ride today. And part of my morning is going to be spent helping get that car out of the snow. I mean, it's not buried, but there's snow on top, so the snow brush is coming out. Yesterday, my supervisor was hoping that we'd be able to unload a whole pallet of ice melt. He marked it down to $1, and I guess the main thing about ice melt is that it cakes. It is really annoying, like it cakes, and you have to really work hard to get chunks of it out. And it's effective, don't get me wrong, and I know it's pet friendly, and I'm all about keeping everybody's pet safe. But ice melt is not a convenient alternative. Not unless you get those pellets that come in the little Roadrunner jar. Um, I did not intend to brush my teeth on this stream. I just forgot what the hell I was doing. But whatever, my teeth are brushed. Okay. Now that I'm back on the same planet as the rest of us. Oh, what was I going to talk about today? Oh, right. Nobody can drive. This whole past couple of weeks has been a trifecta of people not knowing how to drive. So there was a fatal car crash, out on the highway on the way to Arlington. This was about last week. It was fatal, and it was probably in the news. I mean, you might be able to Google it to get all the information, but suffice it to say, one of the lives lost was on their cell phone. And not that it matters, because people are still going to be on their phones. This is why it doesn't matter. They can pass all the laws they want. They can make all the restrictions they want. Police can write all the tickets they want. They're not going to stop somebody from doing a thing. And somehow people are still surprised when they watch shows like Border Security, and they're surprised that people keep trying to sneak food into the country, even though there are very clear guidelines and fines for doing such. Let's face it, one man's ticket price is another man's price of admission, and some people just will not be deterred. Or they think that just because it happened to somebody else means it can't happen to them. Law of averages, whatever. So this person clearly did not think he would get into any trouble being on a phone, and not only was he wrong, but he ended up taking somebody else out with them. So there's that. Now, on a slightly lesser scale, and again, I'm not downplaying anybody's tragedy. I was walking past Stewart's the other day, and you know how there are these barriers between the parking and the store? These tall, I don't know what else to call them, but barriers. But this woman literally drives right into one. Not quickly, but like as she's parking, you can hear a crunch as the grill makes contact with the barrier. And I just happened to be walking by as this happened, and I could see the grill pressing up against this barrier, you know? And I expected her to back up a bit, but instead, she makes eye contact with me, laughs her ass off, gets out of her truck. It's a pretty big sized truck, and then goes into the store. She wasn't drunk or tipsy or anything. She was just stupid. And this ties in perfectly with one of my previous videos where I said there's no age limit on dumb. There definitely wasn't an age limit here. Not only is there no age limit on dumb, but there are no driving stipulations against people who are dumb. Like if suddenly I can't, like if somebody's vision fails, they have to give up their license right away. But if you're dumber than your vision has failed, you still get to keep your license. I don't know. And then almost in the same week, like literally probably a day later, I was on my way home and I'm walking past Domino's and I hear another crunch. And we all know that crunch. It's when two vehicles kind of bang into each other, and they're not supposed to bang into each other. but that crunch of things that should not be crunched makes that really loud sound, and it's not as satisfying as other kinds of crunches. I think as soon as I said crunch, anybody with a car probably knew what I was talking about. But I look over at the parking lot and I see that there's a guy in a pickup truck, and he's backing out of the pizza. He's backing out of the Domino's parking lot. And just as he was backing out, another woman who had just ordered pizza um, backed out in her car. So both vehicles are backing out. They're not facing forward. They're driving backwards to get to the street. And neither one of these people is paying attention. Like, I heard the crunch before I saw what happened, and I don't know who's at fault here. I'm certain that the camera footage will be reviewed, and I'm sure the insurance companies will do their job. But it's just like, if even one of those drivers had been watching and paying attention, I don't even know if their vision was properly blocked. I suppose it could have been, but it really does feel like an incident where both people dropped the ball. So whose insurance company is going to pay out then? I don't know. But that just reinforces in my mind the idea that, don't give me this crap about how driving is more convenient. I have never driven in my life. And if I had to walk today, I could walk today. I've gotten to work in way worse conditions than what you're seeing out there. I'm glad that my husband has a car. I'm glad that he's able to give me a ride when I need it, and I'm grateful for that. But it still does not spur me to learn how to drive. And it's only because when I start thinking about all the ways I can screw up and all the ways I could get myself hurt or somebody else, it causes a bit of paralysis. I know there are autistic people who can drive. I know that I'm not the only autistic person who cannot drive. I'm okay with not being able to drive. I have never lived or worked in an area where driving was necessary for me to get to work or where I had to go on time. People don't seem to understand that. When I do my morning lives on TikTok, I usually broadcast my walk to work. And when the weather gets warmer, I am going to start doing that on YouTube. But every morning, without fail, somebody will see me walking outside. Sorry about that. They'll see me walking outside, and they'll be like, of course, because the phone can't pick up everything, and usually when I leave in the morning, it can seem quite dark. And nearly every morning, without fail, there's somebody saying, be careful, be careful, be careful. And especially when it's snowing out like this, or especially when the sidewalks are slippery. Sorry, hang on. Anyway, people will be like, be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful. And I know you're about to say, well, they're just concerned. They just care for your safety. No. Constantly saying be careful, telling me to be careful, that's not concern. That's, you think I'm stupid. You think I'm dumb. You think I don't know how to get, like, I've been walking before I've been streaming, right? I pretty much walked everywhere all my life. And there's nothing I'm doing in the walking process that requires you to tell me to be careful. I'm not tightroping across a pit of fire. I'm not doing an Evel Knievel jump across the Grand Canyon. I am walking to work. I am propelling myself forward upon my legs and carrying my body fat between my house and my workplace. And I've been doing that since I was born. But since I could walk, I've been walking. There's no need to tell me to be careful when I'm walking. And when people keep doing that, it stops being concern. It starts being a little bit condescending. Because you don't do that to other people. You don't do that to other people. If I were performing surgery, like imagine a doctor is performing a very risky surgery. How annoying would it be for that doctor if the nurse kept saying, be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful. Like, geez, you're twice as likely to actually cause an accident doing that than you are to cause somebody to be careful. Because then they're distracted with you constantly telling them to be careful. And it just becomes, again, it's annoying. That's all there really is to it. It's annoying. And it's bad enough when strangers do it. It's even more annoying when people who have been watching my stream for the better part of a year keep doing it, because at this point I have to believe I have to believe they're trolling. I have to believe that after all this time they're trying to be funny, and it's not helpful. It's not funny, it's annoying. Like, I realize people don't walk that often, and so when you see me walking to work, it's probably like watching. It probably is like watching Evil Knievel, because walking has become such a lesser activity that anybody who does it daily must be some kind of degenerate barbarian who cannot survive in the civilized world. Like, I don't understand how this person gets by without a car. Bless his heart, but I sure hope he's careful. I mean, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to sound like a jerk. I really am not. I'm glad there are people who care, but you gotta express your care in other ways. Sometimes the sound of silence is the best way to express your care. Anyway, so we got a big vacation coming up, the cruise, in just a couple of weeks. I am so looking forward to it. I really wanted to do some content creation, like the handful of times I'm going to be able to split away. I'm thinking like early in the morning when everybody's asleep, I'm definitely going to be getting up on Lido deck and watching the stars and watching the other boats. It's going to be my first time on Carnival Magic, so I'm excited to see how different the ship is from the Carnival Sunrise. I am I am especially looking forward to winning another bingo chip from the quarter push machines in the casino. And my two grandnieces will be there, so it'll be nice to see. I know the older one has been on a boat before, but I think this will be the first time the youngest one has been on a ship, and it'll be nice to see her. It'll be nice to relive the experience through her eyes. And we're supposed to be having breakfast with the Dr. Seuss characters. Now, I know that's supposed to be mainly for children, but I read Dr. Seuss when I was in kindergarten and in the first grade and in the second grade, and I watched The Grinch Who Stole Christmas every year. And I have as much right to those characters as any kid, so you can bet your sweet batootie that I am going to be having breakfast with the Grinch. And it should actually surprise nobody that the Grinch is my favorite character. And you know what? So is Oscar the Grouch. And my other favorite character is Grumpy from Care Bears. I know. Or the wind is really pounding out there. I think this will be the first one where I haven't nicked myself. Sorry, the towel slipped a bit, but you know what? If you can't stand my hairy chest, what can I do? We all got chests. All right, well, on that note, thank you for watching all the way to the end, if you watch to the end. As my favorite, as one of my favorite streamers, somebody I just discovered recently, but has been around for a while. First, I'm going to say thank you for watching. Thank you for liking and commenting and sharing this video with a friend on your social media. Thank you for all your support, emotionally or likewise. And I'm going to borrow the end quote from Cinnamon Toast Ken. If today is your birthday, happy birthday, and treat each other with dignity and respect.